and welcome back to Retired Happy. This is your Retired Happy friend from Mississippi, and I'm Carolyn. I'm so glad you could be here today and spend a little time visiting with me and Maisie at our house. Today, I'm going to be cooking lunch, and I'm going to show you how I cooked lunch. I'm fixing a hamburger steak, which is really good. Hamburger steak is in the Cooking with Maggie cookbook. And I'm fixing the thickening potatoes like I fixed in another meal, but I'm going to show you how to do that. And it is really good way to fix potatoes. It makes kind of a sauce. It's not really a gravy, but kind of a sauce on your potatoes, and it's really good to go with meat, steak, chicken, any kind of pork or fish even. And I also am fixing broccoli. And also, along with cooking my meal, I'm fixing Maisie's meal for the week. So she has eaten all of her homemade food and it's time for her to have some more. So I'm going to show you that today. And next week, I'm not sure what we're going to do. I don't really have anything in mind or planned. So Maisie and I just may take another day off and just go out and see what we can find to do. So yesterday, what I wanted to share for you today is thankful for today is thankful for friends. Thank you for the opportunities we have in life to help and to be with others, and the opportunities that God gives us to be with other people and help support other people in their time of need or grief. I went to a funeral of a really good friend. She and I had been friends for quite a while, and we became friends when my son and her daughter were dating and going together. And then they got married, and they had a long, happy marriage until she passed away. And she went to glory to be with the Lord in 2020. So this was her mother's funeral yesterday. And one thing that the pastor said in her service, which I found very meaningful, and I want to share it with you. This is my good word for the day. And it comes from Psalms chapter 90 and verse 12. Now before verse 12, David the psalmist is talking about the brevity of life and how short life is and how it compares to eternity and our life with God and with Jesus when we pass to glory, for all of those who trust in Jesus as our Savior and who love God. But Psalm 90, verse 12, teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. And then it goes on down a few more verses after that, but I got to thinking about what it means to number our days. So I looked it up, and on Google it says in Psalm 90, to number our days means to recognize the brevity and fleeting nature of human life in the contrast to God's eternal nature. And this realization is a path to gaining wisdom to live life purposefully in Him. It is a prayer asking God to reveal the limited time that we have here on earth, and we can be stewards of our days wisely, understanding life's eternal consequences, and live with greater significance and purpose rather than simply seeking pleasure and endless productivity. Now there's a lot more, but that was, I thought, very good. That was my devotional this morning as I sat out in the backyard with Maisie, just having time to commune with God and a quiet time of reflection and reading God's Word. But it goes on down, so if any of you are interested in studying and reading more on that one verse, Lord, teach us to number our days that we may gain wisdom, Google it and look up. And what I Googled was, what does Psalm 90 mean? But there's some really good reading in there. So I highly recommend that. So we're going to get on with fixing my lunch and fixing Maisie's next batch of food. But I wanted to share with you also my progress on my knitting project. And this is how I'm doing, which one of y'all, one of our communities said that maybe the reason I had so much trouble on this first yarn over knit two together row was that when my tension was too tight. So I have really on purpose loosened up my tension, and this is my second row. And it was a lot easier to get my knitting needle in the two stitches where I have to knit two together. So the pattern of it actually calls for about 2 more rows of this section and then the final row of this garter stitch. But I like a narrow scarf where I can wrap it around and it's not too heavy and bulky. So I'm really thinking after this section, I'm going to go ahead and do this ending section and make a narrow scarf, because my favorite scarves that I have made before are my narrow scarves. So that's my progress. You think I'm ready to knit socks now? Let me know in the comments. I have been watching tutorials on socks, and I don't know, everybody says socks are really difficult, so I might just get some yarn and jump in and take the plunge and see what I can do with it. But I have to finish my scarf first. I am going to finish that project before I get another one started. So I hope you enjoyed today. I hope you're having a good week. First day of fall is coming Monday, so we are looking forward to some cooler temperatures. I'm looking forward to seeing the color change in the foliage all around our neighborhood. And hopefully we're going to get some rain. It's been very dry in our neighborhood recently, and we really could use some rain. So let me know what you're doing in your neighborhood and at your house, and please leave it in the comments. If you have some suggestions that Maisie and I can do that would be something a little bit different, or either more of the same that I can look up. And until then, share your smile with everyone you meet. You never know what everybody's going through. After the funeral service yesterday, we went to eat, and we went to a little Mexican restaurant, and all the family was there. And of course there were a lot of tear-stained faces and eyes, but you never know what somebody's going through. You know, the people right next to you at the table in the restaurant may have just come from a funeral service for a loved one, or they might have just lost their job, or they might have just had some other good news. I mean, bad news. Well, hopefully it was good news. But anyway, whether it's good news or bad news, we all can share and appreciate a smile from those around us. So until next time. For today's lunch, we're going to have hamburger steak and potatoes. They're going to be the thickened potatoes. They're not creamed and they're not just boiled, but they're thickened potatoes. I have fixed them for one other meal, so I'll show you how to do it again. The steamed broccoli. And then this afternoon, I'm going to be making a chocolate cake for one of our Bible study members' birthday for tomorrow. So let's get started on lunch. Now I'm going to go ahead and get all my chopping done. I have scrubbed my potatoes and I trimmed off the ends where the eyes were. So now I'm going to chop my potatoes, and I want them in small pieces. I don't want big chunks, but I want them just kind of small pieces. Now if you like your potatoes all peeled, then go ahead and peel it all off. But I like to have some of the peeling, a lot of it's off. But these are the Yukon Gold potatoes, which I really like. So I'm going to put those in the boiler. And I also have my broccoli over to the side. I'm going to go ahead and get my broccoli in the boiler and get it on to steam. Then I'll put my hamburger meat in my skillet and start cooking it. Now I'm using all the vegetables and everything I already have on hand. The things I got at the grocery store the last Friday for this month. And then a few things I've already used. Okay, now the potatoes are diced. I'm going to set those off to the side and go ahead and chop my broccoli and get the broccoli ready to put on in steam. And I like to leave my broccoli in stalks. Now while I'm cooking my lunch and while I'm in the kitchen today, I'm also cooking Maisie's lunch. She finished up what I had for her last night for supper. So it's time to make Maisie a fresh a fresh bowl of food also. Okay, I have my broccoli, have my potatoes. I'm going to put water, not a lot, but a little bit of water in both boilers, some butter, a little bit of salt. This skillet is going to be for my hamburger steak. Now this is the hamburger meat that I had left from making my stroganoff. So I had right at half a pack left and I put it back in the freezer for the hamburger steaks. So I'm making it out in patties. I put a little bit of flour in a bowl and I'm going to just put the patties in, coat it on both sides with the flour and put it in my skillet. Now I did put a little bit of tallow in my skillet because this is the hamburger meat. When I was cooking my stroganoff, I had zero fat to pour off. So my skillet is getting ready and the meat is going to go in, and I want a crispy side on both of my hamburger steaks, so therefore I am putting a little dusting of flour on each side. And I'll keep this flour in the bowl, and this is what I'll use for my gravy. Now everything is on cooking. I did get 3 nice sized hamburger steaks out of the rest of that hamburger package. And usually out of 1 pound of hamburger meat, I get 4 nice sized patties. But this is the rest of the stroganoff hamburger. So if that's what's left, I have 3 patties. And since it's just for me, that will last 3 more good meals. So I'm going to put a little bit, not much, but a little bit of salt and pepper on the hamburger steaks. Put a little bit of pepper on it. And I'm glad I went ahead and put the tallow in the pan because there is no oil at all coming out. So that's on cooking. I'm going to put the onions in so the onions can cook. The potatoes are cooking, so they are boiling and they are looking really, really good. The broccoli is steaming. I put a little bit of butter and a little bit of salt. Now to the broccoli, I'm going to add some lemon pepper seasoning. I like lemon pepper on my broccoli, so I'm going to add a little bit to that. And the back boiler is a chicken leg and brown rice for Maisie. So Maisie's food is on cooking too, so I've got to get the onion on to cook now. Since I like a lot of onion, I sliced 1/2. This is a Vidalia onion I got at my produce market. And I went ahead and just sliced half an onion. And I'm going to put that in and let that be browning and cooking while the hamburger meat is cooking. So this is going to be such a good lunch. Now I'm also have on the side the rest of the can of mushrooms. This is what I had left from the stroganoff also. So frugal cooking and cooking for one means that we use what we have, and what we had from another meal, we can use it again and use it for another meal. So that's the way to stretch our food budget and our food dollars. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on that. I have turned my heat down below medium and it is still cooking a little bit hot because there's just not any grease in there. You can see no grease at all has come out of the meat. But I am going to cover it, not tight, but leave a little space for the steam to escape. And now everything is on cooking. I had to add a little bit more water to my broccoli, and I turned the heat off under it, and I'm just going to let it sit there and steam. And now my potatoes are soft, so I'm going to take a little bit of flour and just sprinkle over the potatoes, and I'm going to let the potatoes steam with the flour sprinkled over them. In fact, I'm going to add just a little bit more water to the potatoes. And I didn't add much, not even a 1/4 cup. So now I'm going to put the lid back on the potatoes and let them sit. Now Maisie's lunch is almost ready. I'm going to go ahead and put some broccoli and some cauliflower and carrots in her boiler so her vegetables can start steaming. Now I'm adding cauliflower and the broccoli to Maisie's chicken and rice, and I'm thinking, since I have a can of pumpkin in my pantry, I'm thinking I'm going to put pumpkin in her food this time. She hasn't had pumpkin in a while. Now it's time to go ahead and turn the hamburger steaks over. I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit, and oh, that's looking good. And the onions are cooking good, they're cooking down. Now I use different pans for different purposes. This is the pan I use if I want to fry something and I want it to fry and have the little bits of the little brown bits in the bottom of the skillet. I use the Blue Diamond skillet to fry the okra and to fry the zucchini patties, the salmon patties, anything I want to fry that I don't want the brown bits in the bottom, I'll use that skillet. But this I want, it's cooking beautifully, the onions are looking good, and I'm going to cook it not much longer, and then I'll take the hamburger meat out and make the gravy. The potatoes are soft, they're done, so I'm going to put the lid on the potatoes and turn the heat off on them. And the potatoes and the broccoli are now sitting on hold while I get the hamburger steak and the gravy made. So lunch is almost ready. This is quick, easy, and for 1 or for 2 people, it's a good, nutritious meal. Now I tested one of the patties and there's no red juice coming out of it, so the hamburger steaks are done. So they're going to come out and I'm going to get ready to make the gravy. So I'm going to take the hamburger steaks and the onions out and put them on a paper towel and let them drain. But I want all the juice or all the grease that's left to stay in my skillet. I don't have to add any more grease to make the gravy. But this is looking good. This is going to make some really good gravy. And this time I'm going to make the gravy, which I showed you 2 different ways I make gravy. So this time I'm going to make the gravy by putting the flour in the pan and just brown the flour. So let's go ahead and add the flour now, and I'll add some salt and pepper. And I might have to add just a little bit more grease because this method, this is what we call a roux, making a roux. And you can see it's already browning, and I am going to add just a little bit more grease to that. So I'm not adding much, I'm just going to add a little bit more, that's a little bit more of the tallow to the pan so my flour will brown. Okay, going to turn Maisie's food off and let her broccoli and cauliflower and chicken steam. I did, on Maisie's chicken leg, I did go ahead and cut slits in the leg so that it would cook a little bit faster. Okay, this is looking good. Now do you see how the flour is browning and all that good brown crust is releasing and coming loose from the bottom of the skillet? And that's going to be in the gravy. That's going to be so good. Okay, now Let's go ahead and put some water in it. This time I am just using water. I'm not going to put milk in my gravy, but sometimes I do. I'm running a little bit short on milk this month, so I'm not going to put milk in it. But this is the water gravy. Oh, doesn't that look good? Look how nice and brown that gravy is. That is going to be so good. Now I'm going to add a little bit of salt to the gravy. And this is the point you can add pepper. You don't want to put pepper in while it's browning, but you want to wait until it is, until you've added your liquid. So now I'm going to go ahead and add the mushrooms. And I'm going to put the juice from the mushrooms in the pan because I do need a little bit more liquid in my gravy. So this will be good mushroom gravy for my steak. Mushrooms and onions and hamburger steak, broccoli and potatoes. Doesn't that sound like a good fall lunch? It is all going to come together and be delicious. Now, as the water is in the pan with the gravy, all the rest of those little brown particles from the meat is getting loose. It's releasing from the bottom of the skillet, and now every single one of them are in the gravy. And that's what helps to make the gravy so good. So I need to turn that up just a little. I want it to boil. And Maisie's lunch is just going to sit there and steam while I eat lunch. And I'm going to take it off the burner. But her chicken will be ready as soon as her chicken leg cools. As soon as I eat my lunch, hers will be ready. All right, now the gravy is coming to a boil, and I'm going to let it just boil, not very long, but just until the flour cooks and it begins to get thick, because I want it kind of thick. And I left some of the onion in the gravy. Some of the onion I took off. These onions will continue to cook down and cook into the gravy, but I like some of the whole onions with my hamburger steak. Because the onions on hamburger steak is so good. And I don't really know whether that's just a southern thing or whether other parts of the country cook your hamburger steak the same way. So let me know in the comments, please, if this is the way you also cook your gravy. But you can see how smooth and even the gravy is now. There are no lumps in that gravy at all. And y'all, it is so easy to make your own gravy. You don't need to buy that gravy mix. You don't need to buy that already made gravy in a jar, because you just make your own gravy and it has the flavor of your meat. Now, can you see how clean the bottom of my skillet is? Every single bit of those little fried meat pieces have come loose. Okay, now that is done. I am ready to spoon up and plate up my lunch. I'm going to turn the burner off and let this just sit there for just a minute. And I'm going to go ahead and plate everything up. Now on Maisie's food, I just chopped up some carrots I'm going to add to her boiler and let those steam while I'm cooking. And I like to leave her carrots and her broccoli and cauliflower in pretty big chunks and only just get them soft. And that helps to slow down her eating, because she eats so fast and she absolutely would eat the whole boiler at one sitting. So I like to give her something to chew on and help slow down her, her eating her lunch. So I have my hamburger steak on my plate, and I'm getting the thickened potatoes. Don't those look good? Oh, and the flour, adding the flour to it just makes kind of a little sauce on the potatoes. It's not a gravy, but it's just a sauce that makes them really, really good. So if you've never tried that way of cooking your potatoes, give it a try and let me know what you think. Okay, that's the potatoes. Now I'm going to get my broccoli. And this time I cooked my broccoli a little bit more than I usually do, which is what I wanted to do. Because a lot of times I just put it in the microwave and just barely steam it. But this time I wanted my broccoli done and cooked. Now the only thing else I have to get is my gravy. And I don't have any rolls or bread to put with my meal today. So no gravy, no bread with this meal. It's just going to be good, good, good food. All right, now how do you think that looks? Doesn't that look good? Ready to sit down and eat. Oh, it smells so good. Well, y'all, my lunch was so good. And if you haven't tried cooking your hamburger steak that way, just put a little bit of flour on both sides of it and then cook it in a little bit of oil, and it had a really nice crust on it. And when I'm putting my hamburger steaks in my pan, I don't work the meat and I don't stir it around. I just take it out of the package, pat it out into a round patty, put it in the flour, and then in the skillet, because you don't want to be working your hamburger meat. It will make it tough. The potatoes were perfect. The broccoli was just like I like it. So now for dessert, I have, if you've been watching me and following me, you remember the fruit cocktail cake. So I have put it in the refrigerator. I still have it. It made a big cake, and I still have a little bit left, but that's my dessert today, is my fruit cocktail cake. And if you're a single person, make that fruit cocktail cake when you have somebody else to give it to or to share it with, unless you eat a lot of cake, because it does make a lot, but it's so good. And in a few minutes after I get through with my dessert, I'll show you my finished Maisie's food. Good, good lunch. Still good. This would be really good and warm if I had stuck it in the microwave for just maybe 5 or 10 seconds. But it's still good cold. I hope you try all of these, and please put it in the comments and let me know. Of course, you can put any other vegetable or side with your hamburger steak and your potatoes. I just happen to have broccoli, and I use what I have, and I always look in my refrigerator to see what I have in there that I need to fix, because that goes along with my monthly planning at the end of this month for next month. So have a good day. I'll turn back in a little bit with Maisie's food. Now on Maisie's food, I have taken the chicken leg out. It has cooled. I have all the meat and the skin and the cartilage off the chicken bone. So what I have now, this is the rice, the broccoli, the cauliflower, the carrots I chopped up and put in. I put some oil in, and now I've just put an egg in, and I'm going to put the boiler back on the burner just long enough for that egg to cook, and then I will put the chicken back in the whole mix, and I am going to add pumpkin. So I'll probably only put maybe half the can of pumpkin in, and then the other half of the can I will have for next month. So this is Maisie's food for about maybe a week and a half, week and a half, something like that. So Maisie likes to eat good. Now the egg is done, so I'm going to turn the heat off and put the chicken back in it and let it cool. She's already eaten lunch today, so this will be in the refrigerator cooling for supper. And when I do serve it to her, I put it in her bowl with just a little bit of kibble, and then either some milk or some yogurt, or some cottage cheese. I'm going to go ahead and put the pumpkin in, and I'm only going to put 1/3 of a can in, not the whole half can. Okay, stir that up good. Now all the chicken is going back in, and this is good, nutritious food. I can really tell a difference in Maisie's fur, in her disposition, and just her overall health since I've been fixing some of her food. And I do supplement it with the Iams kibble. She doesn't eat just this, but this does supplement. So thank you for watching. If you have a puppy dog, let me know if you fix their food for them and how you fix it and what you put in it. And sometimes I alternate what I put in. This time I use the brown rice. Sometimes I use oatmeal, and sometimes I use the white rice. Kind of depends on what I have in my pantry. Maisie's like me. We have to plan ahead and use what we have. Maisie's always not very far away, so she's reading right here by me. Maisie, that's a good girl. Oh, such a good girl. Yeah, it's a lazy Sunday afternoon.